Ah.
Peace.
Peace. What's your name again, bud?
Islam.
Peace, Islam. I met you last time, right? Yeah. All right. That's peace. All right. All right. There's some things to share. As always, I'm in the classroom now. Students arrive, though. Understand their my deference to them, and I'll balance everything as I have. Other than that, we good. I don't see anybody saying nothing to me. What's the science? Y'all are quiet in the chat. I have some things to build on. As usual, I wait for people to come in. If you're not, then I'm not going to answer anything. Okay. I'm going to build when I see people ask things. Wise you, peace. Wise you is always the first one. Always the first one. All right. My class notes are not open. Opening my class notes. Where
I'm gonna put it in my shed.
What's the science-wise you? I see people in here, they're not saying anything. Imagine you come to my class and online, they could just be quiet, wait for me to speak. I don't have students in the classroom physically now, so I don't need to speak. Right? Although there's plenty to say if I chose to. In fact, I had gone through all of them years ago, but they make new ones with specific subjects that he focused on. And I read a book compilation of Elijah Muhammad's thoughts and ideas. And it was interesting to say the least. $793, peace. Stocky B24, peace. Let me know about yourselves. Stocky B24. There's an interesting name. Tell me who you are. What brought you in here into this world of a law school in Mecca? This looks really nice today. No. Born Reality. I did not forget about you, Born Reality. I'm waiting till I was thinking of maybe I could read the piece in a better state of mind, though, so I could maybe I put Goodfellas playing on the screen and start to read your piece. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is going to be a very important piece that you wrote. So I wanted to make sure I had time this weekend to delve into it, you know. And I did acknowledge your last revised email. Add on a couple of sentences. All right, Asiatic God Mathematics, peace. Do for self visuals, peace. All right, really. 7, just plain 7, peace. All right, what are we doing? What are we building? What are we building? What are we adding on? What are we creating? Right? Today's mathematics. What is today's mathematics? Okay, how do you see it? Okay. I have there's some important concepts based on that today. You know what I mean? Based on this idea of how one sees it, how one utilizes it. Just a different concept about it. You know what I mean? But I want to hear your participation about it. You know what I mean? When I hear your participation about it, then we shall continue on. There's also a book, if I have time, I'll talk about it. It's an Elijah Muhammad book I read. I just finished it. It was short, 60 pager. I had tried out Kindle Unlimited, but the books that are available to read for free on Kindle Unlimited, I was not very happy with. They don't have as great a selection as I thought that I had imagined that they did. You know what I mean? Well, here isn't that a thing? Truth rules. Peace. You said peace. Here to continue to grow and develop. This would assume that my very existence in this room and the legacy of this room and me being in this room means that anything that I'll say will allow you to continue to grow and develop. The thing is that I, the teacher here, have no way of knowing that I have been validated by you, the student. I have no idea what you think growing and developing is, right? That is not a blanket term, right? So we're at an impasse here of well-meaning language that could take us nowhere, right? Stacky B24, your name is Shakim from Medina. Living in, I'll wait for the rest. Okay. You know, when you say your names, and if I forget your name and you don't want me to call you your username, hey, please keep telling me. I start to write notes in my class notes, but it's a lot of, it's a lot of students stuff. It's got notes from all the students, including all of you that are online. Little dossiers. No, I'm just kidding. It's not really like that at all. Try to keep track of what I'm sharing and what I'm teaching. Infinite Mind, yeah. What a surprise there. His name is actually Infinite Mind. Peace, God. I come in the righteous name, Infinite Mind Allah. Originally from now justice, now living in Father love. You know, when you say it like that, like if people don't know the knowledge and you just go up to them and you say you live in Father love, that sounds real pimp stuff. You know what I mean? You can't just go tell people that. Okay, Truth Rules. You're from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh, man. Peace to my brothers out there in Grand Rapids, right? The Wiseman, all that Detroit area, all of that, right? Bronze Nazareth, right? Remember the Perfection, my brother Kevlar 7. Oh, man, that was a beast right there. It was really learning before he returned to the essence. It was really at a peak. Right? My brother June Mega out there. Right? The God Josiah. Right? I just put in everybody that's I got love for out there, Grand Rapids. Stocky B. Shaquem from Medina, now living in Omaha. Oh my goodness. You're texting at the lights. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, just do the knowledge. You got to get somewhere. You know what I'm saying? All right. Know a couple of people out in Nebraska. You know what I mean? It sounds like a retreat place where hippies live. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you change it though. It wouldn't be father love. It'd be like forever love. Where are you from, man? I'm from Forever Love. That's what we do. Forever love. Asia, but this is peace, man. God's from everywhere, adding on. You should call it that now, Infinite Mind. Yeah, just start a whole new thing. You know what I mean? I could help you though, because instead of giving out, don't give out any knowledge and shit. When people ask you stuff, you know what I mean? They first got to get a pamphlet of some poetry and shit. I'll write the poetry. It just be a pamphlet of poetry that they get. You know what I mean? You're into the knowledge, huh? I see. It's about love, hell, or right, man. Love through this hell to come out right. You give them the love, hell, or right, poetry pamphlet. You know what I mean? Just have a whole bunch of fire shit. Keep them warm for the knowledge. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was. I don't know where he went. Asiatic God, you said I'm originally from California, but I rest in Nashville. Nashville, wow. How'd you get down in there? No? Oh, so you named the city Land of the Lost Found. I see it, God. Like reversing them letters too. That's dope. Since I've come back from the pandemic, though, I always have the Price is Right music in my head now. Because the guy, they keep playing that, So in my head, after everything I read here, it's like, Humboldt County, how was that? How was that experience? I'm going to tell you something, right? Right now, I'm giving you pedagogy, you know what I mean? Like the ideas of teaching. And when you meet those teachers that you validate, let's assume that you meet those teachers that you validate, then you want to get to a point where you know how to actually how to utilize them, you know what I mean, and how to get the best out of those teachers. And when we talk about knowledge of self, sometimes the best way to learn things is to have a complete way of describing who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the whole resume thing. It sounds, the westernized version would be the resume. If it was in the arts, we talk about our bio when we give our bio, right? But if people know who you are and they know that you can describe who you are, then you know who you're intending to be and what you put yourself out there and what you be responsible for. And that the more responsible that you are in claiming what you will and be, the more easier it is. The more willing that particular person that is in that position to teach you is going to share things with you. You know what I mean? When I got knowledge of self, when I came to the school, that was part of being willing. Like, who am I? well, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? And this is difficult for a lot of students to get this, because a lot of people that get knowledge of self, I'll be honest with you, people don't want to admit this, right? But a law school in Mecca is usually the last stop. You know what I mean? The last stop in spiritual salvation. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting, like, I searched all the other religions and none of them was doing anything for me. So now this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And, they try others and none of them work. And then, like, so, this is why I'm here, because I tried all these other things. And what you guys say is really sensible and things like that. And the truth is that if they stick with it, it's because they're finally prepared. And I don't mean stick with it like, yo, they're going to be the God of the earth. I mean, like, they stick at the lower levels, because most people don't become that. Okay, so if you go out there and teach, though, most of the people you teach ain't going to be that. You know what I mean? But if you teach well, most of the people that you teach, though, are in a position to be righteous and add on righteously in the work that they endeavor into. You know what I'm saying? So that way that the wisdom, the way that they engage things is godly, and that it always born something on a righteous level. You know what I mean? Today's math. This is crucial. You know what I mean? This is really crucial. So a lot of the students that don't see that become well-meaning. I still told you that most of the people, they only learn certain things. And then if I tell you that most of the people that come are seeking some kind of last stop on spiritual salvation, it means that a lot of the people that are really sincere students in some level, this is the last stop on the church train. You know what I'm saying? It's the last stop on the church train. It has crashed. There is no more stops left. It has crashed. It's like the end of Speed. You know what I mean? And Keanu Reeves has popped out. Sometimes you might pop out with a woman or pop out without anything, but you come in by yourself, or, and this is it. But along the way, if you haven't done that yet, knowledge of self, though, entails that there's an ability to describe yourself, not the cliche of what you are. You know what I mean? How do we know that what you're describing is a cliche of yourself, right? It goes into what the brother, I'm going to scroll up here, said very, very sincerely. Truth Rules said very sincerely, right? To continue to grow and develop, right? He said that very sincerely, right? A person comes to grow and develop, and they come to get this knowledge, and they come as a last stop of spiritual salvation, and this is it. Now what? You have to tell that person that what do you intend to learn? What is it that you want to learn? Right? In some way, if you cannot figure out what it is that you don't know, which is the mark of a very profound student and not always present in many fields of research that you will engage in, at one point you may be the student who can describe what it is that they don't know, and you're on your way. But for many things, you will be put into situations with a lot of fields of study where you're just not. It doesn't work the same way all the time. So now they come to a law school, and I'm saying they go from the point of spiritual salvation, and you start to show them that they have to learn, well, what is it that you really want? Well, then you may not be able to make those questions of what it is that you don't know, especially if you're on that spiritual salvation tour, okay? However, what everyone can do and should always do when they endeavor new fields where they're engaging with a new teacher of some sort is know what it is that they are, and what the difference between what it is you are and what it is you think you are is very telling. You know, a lot of it is cliches. How do you know that the way you describe yourself is it could always be sincere, whether wrong or right? But how do you know whether it's useful and not just putting cliches on yourself? Is it possible for you to actually learn to not be that way that you were describing? So if you describe yourself, a lot of people's self-descriptions of themselves is their way, not necessarily what they are. Okay? And if you're getting people that are getting knowledge of self, including all of you, try to never forget. And if you never thought about it then when you got knowledge of self, then go back and think of it in this sense, because you get more insight out of your own development. Who do you think you are? What is it that makes you profound enough to even have the daring to continue to learn whatever it is that might be pitched to you? What type of person are you? See, when you describe these things to someone and the gods they inspect, they're a bunch of inspected decks. You know what I mean? And when they inspect, what they're trying to find out is if you have the ability to be molded and not molded by just them, because I'm assuming everyone that whoever you learn with would be sincere, that they are trying to teach you in some kind of way of offering you the forums to truly become yourself. Now, what if who you think you are is based on so many binding cliches and limitations that you're showing yourself that whatever forms you're given, which is what a real teacher's doing, they're offering forums for you to grow and develop, right? In this, the ultimate teaching, the knowledge of self, you're not that religion and that spiritual train. You were learning how to consistently act or order, example, pray, and get fish. But this is the level where you are absolutely being taught how to fish. And if you don't want to be a fisherman, though, you will drown. And to do this, and to continue the metaphor, right? I love doing this. So I'm stuck here. That boat is what this education is building. You are building that boat in the classroom. You know what I mean? To go out and fish. You were building that fishing rod. You know what I mean? And you were learning the reasons why you will have to go and fish. So when I ask a student, email me, tell me about yourself, who you are, what you intend to be. These are also beginning lessons in defining and deciding what your actual name is going to be, because that's going to be defining who you are, right? And that's important too, right? It's a lot of stuff in this thing. You know? I had some criticisms about an Elijah Muhammad book I read, and also from the Muslim that wrote the introduction, who's obviously younger because the book is published now, so it's a new collection, and it's amazing. You know, I'll talk about it later. You know, But it makes me think, like, what is it that people expected from the gods and the earths? Well, the major mistake is that in saying that we are God, people expect, and that's a lot of people in our own nation, they expect the westernized products of the mystery God. They expect salvation. In fact, many of the gods in our own nation put so much pressure in the forms of criticism and frustrated anger toward each other that we must be able to immediately bring salvation to everyone. When we say that we don't do that, we say not everybody could be taught, and we'll say that on a micro level. But when we're all together, sometimes those expectations become unrealistic. Because everybody's gonna have to fish on their own. Infinite Mind said pedagogy is the science of and art of teaching, the what and how. Yes. Asiatic God mathematics. It was okay, God. I didn't think it would be so cold because in Central Cali, where I'm from, it's usually hot. There's a lot of water out there, a lot of Europeans. Ooh, water and Europeans. There's a nice soup there. All right. Peace, Quatis. Jay Willis, peace. You do not sound familiar to me, though. Anything that you want to know what this is about, please ask. Wise you said today's wisdom God or being born to born. Wisdom is the ability to express the God whom is the higher existence of self that is capable to perform at will and born that actual existence of positive sharing. I get it. I don't know. For those that know, I don't really like using the idea of higher existence kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's really what I'm saying right now. This is it. You know what I'm saying? Right? This is it. Make no mistake. Mm-hmm. So that's important, though. You know what I mean? Asiatic God. Hey, peace, Quatis. Asiatic God Mathematics said, that's funny you talk about salvation because I just showed the knowledge born degree, supreme alphabet, okay, to a younger brother named Xavier. Right, yeah. A guy named Xavier who needs to be saved. A lot of times the X written with the X is really artistic. A lot of times it ends up being, but boy, it could be very telling, yeah, can it? Wow. Interesting. I almost cringed. There's a guy named Anthony Davis in here. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was like, oh man, did I get like a pro LeBron, a supporter here? Just kidding, Anthony. Knowledge allow 120 peace. Be divine thought peace. Quatis, you said, wisdom God, albeit born to born. All right. Reflecting wisdom on the function of self. Interesting. And the development of workings. It's very interesting that Quatis, that many times, though, wisdom for you is reflecting. You see? It's almost like for you, knowledge is getting those ideas and that truth. Then wisdom is a time to reflect with them. So this becomes, for you, it's not the only way, but it is a very major way of how you take in knowledge. You know what I mean? Very interesting. I just take note of that. I don't find that to be a wrong thing. Reflecting on the function of self and the development of workings. Nine, workings. Interesting that born is workings because they are already born. They are workings. They accumulate. Interesting. It is said that as a man thinketh, so is he. In that sentence are ideas on how to be and what one will create. It suggests how to focus on a particular thing or direction. All right. P.E.A.C.E also continues to reflect with focus comes the potential to lack in other areas. To reflect with focus comes the potential to lack. Very true. When the attention is focused, peripheral aspects lag. When work is heavy, time with family is usually light. Reading, journaling, becoming more challenging to complete. Adding the categories to the razor focus one can hit at the same time as the current is. Well, you know what? A lot of required reading and a lot of journal writing. I tell you, 25 pages a week is along with all the things I do. And the only way to do it is to write faster. You know what I mean? The only way to do a task, though, and complete them is to either quit them or adjust how you do them. You know, but it's okay to be overloaded. God infinite. Okay, all right. Whew. All right. I'm not a LeBron fan. And I'm a big Devin Booker fan. I love that smooth game like that. You know what I mean? And I enjoy a lot watching CP3. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to got a chip. You know? Don't know if it's gonna happen though, because he's all injured up. You know, LeBron be getting lucky though. He'd be lucky ass. And now I'm unfocused, Quatis. Quatis, you said the principles of wisdom, God, all people born highlight these notions. They do. And I like the way that you brought it here, you know. Now, Joe, you said mellow, bringing it, you spelling mellow with two L's. I was almost confused who you meant. Bringing them home, Islam. He gave the knowledge to Shubha. From the way he spoke, he definitely shares the culture, you know what I mean? And aspects of the culture, you know. I have seen nothing but good things from Carmelo Anthony, you know, and as far as his basketball playing, it's some of my favorite playing I've ever seen. You know, one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, you know, just sweetness, you know what I mean? That's what I like though. It's really a big reason why I'm not a LeBron fan. Peace.
This is Sunez. Sunez is black. Black is Sunez.
He's black.
He was enlightened.
You ever been to my class before?
Have a seat.
All right. Let me adjust my
He only
chair.
spoke with degrees and shoes look for if he feels you deserve it.
You go by black?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this course that you walked into is the P.E.A.C.E course. Okay? Political education and civilization enrichment. Okay? Political education, how to deal with the outside world that we deal with, and all this devilishment, but also civilization enrichment, that knowledge of self, and all the sciences that go along with that. So we named it, and we honor that word, the P.E.A.C.E course, like that. And actually, the name of this course that I've been teaching for the last 21 years was named by the man that just walked you in, his son. You know, and I've been teaching this since 2000, since about April 2000. Right? Ever since the pandemic, but we couldn't, for the first time, I couldn't come to a lot of school regularly. So I started to stream the classroom also. So now what it is, I continue to do both. You know what I mean? So I teach the students online and all that. You know what I mean? But as I tell the students online, the precedent is always to the student in the classroom. You know what I mean? In this case, it would be you, Black. You know what I mean? So, Black, what's your experience with the knowledge of self? This is your first time here?
Yes.
Okay.
And I got knowledge of self when I was upstate. Came came about. A guard upstate, he was just talking to me, and came down to town for fasting, Ramadan, and that's when the time came. He was had the class that was going on upstate, and he brought me in, and I was already.
You talk about upstate locked up? Or
Yes.
I don't want to assume.
No, definitely.
Um,
And he told me about the school was here, and I'm here to follow up.
that's peace. That's peace. What's your, how old are you?
25.
Okay.
Turning 20.
Anything that I ask you, and this is for all the students here, anything that I ask you,
Yes.
okay, you have more than the right to ask me anything you want, okay?
Yes.
And just like you have the right, I have the right to answer or not, though. Pretty much 99% of questions I'm going to answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even the most personal. I've been asked crazy things. As you know, I just told you, I've been here for 2 decades. You know what I mean? So I've heard every type of question. So don't feel embarrassed. You can always ask me during the classroom or after the class. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The quality of the student is not in the classroom. Okay? This is just the beginning. The quality of the student, though, is what they do outside of the classroom. How well they read, how intent they work to memorize, how well they develop their questions. We're talking about pedagogy. Every student that walks into my classroom, I tell them 3 things. You know what I mean? I haven't told these 3 things in a long time. Because you know, it's a pandemic, right? The first thing I tell them is that you have to actually have a criteria, right, of judgment of who it is that's teaching you, right? In other words, everywhere you go, you're learning something whether you want to or not. You know what I mean? And the thing, what I mean by that, right, is you can be walking outside, right, and on your journey here, on your trip, there are things that you'll remember that you wanted to remember. You know what I mean? Walking down the street, a beautiful woman, no, that's a nice thing to remember. But then there are things that you don't want to remember, but they might stick in your head. You know what I'm saying? All of this is the same way. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a criteria of what you intend to expect out of that teacher that is teaching you, because you're always learning something. And now, let it be the first time that you outright, overtly start to think about, wait a minute, who am I letting teach me? Why am I letting them teach me? And what is it that I'm remembering? Because the key here in this first thing that I tell you, and the reason I'm telling you these 3 things is that if you remember nothing else, and I never see you again, Black, these are the things useful for anything that you deal with. You see, the thing is this, right? Everywhere we go, the more aware we are of our surroundings, the more that we can make a decision of what we want to learn. In turn, the more aware you become, then you can make decisions, right, on what you will learn. And now you can refocus that energy, and you also could make decisions and due to knowledge, see those who are actually trying to misteach you, because it'll be more evident to you. That's not in what I'm trying to learn here. You know what I mean? And see, this is important because most of us don't know how we learn. And this extends to other things. What type of books do you usually like to read, to learn? Do you learn mainly by lecture, through music, through the arts, right? Because the more that you learn how you learn, again, you also learn how you could be fooled. You see? Brother only wants to learn in songs and shit. Okay, let's learn some shit. We know a lot of the gods in song. You listen to a lot of Ras Fresco, he'll learn some shit. He start listening to somebody else, so he can learn nothing. Right? After he gets past Wu, past all the new guys, right? Then he wants to listen to other guys like, all right, this is all wrong. But he doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? So even the type of way you decide to learn could alter the ability to learn. Right? So for example, a student wants to learn. He wants to learn martial arts, right? I'm gonna go get the best book on it. And we know that the book ain't the best way, right? He chose the wrong medium, though. Because if he goes out there, though, like, you know, like I would say, like, I teach martial arts. I've never learned martial arts well from a book. Because if they show 2 pictures like this and like that, I don't know what happened in the middle. And that's when I get beat up. Right in the middle of that punch is how I got hurt. So I don't know what's happening. The thing is, though, is that the medium you choose by which to learn also can affect the way you learn. So some brothers want to learn about ancient civilizations and they only want to use YouTube. Not going to get the good enough information. You have to get yourself to learn to read books that you don't like. You know what I mean? And now you're starting to gauge your like and dislike, because this knowledge itself, predicated, that means that it's required before you get to this fact, is that you have to understand, truly know and understand that there's no mystery God. There's no mysterious being, energy, or force that causes our reality. So then now, once we realize that, and you realize that there's no mystery God, right? And now you learn, well, who is God?
Right.
Then you learn, wait, that God is a true and living God, the Asiatic black man. Who the hell is the Asiatic black man?
Right.
Because when we look, you look a lot different than me.
Right.
And say, wait, this is the guy that, you know what I'm saying? What's the science with that?
Right.
A lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying? Right. So then when we're going through that, you also have to discern the differences between who you think you are,
right,
your likes and dislikes,
definitely,
versus what is really truly knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And we're in a world now where the real work that you'll be thrust with just because of your age is, people are living based off what they think they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because now you can say, listen, I feel like I like that.
Right.
That's what I am now. That's what I am. That
right.
chair is looking real sexy to me. I'm some kind of chair, trans chair. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's why I would say in my writings, I joke about the trans real. You know what I mean? Like, you could do whatever you want. You could change what you want to be, right? And it's ultimate transportation. You know what I mean? So now the thing is, Black, right? When we get this knowledge of self, that first thing is to always be deciding who it is that is teaching you. Not just from me, but from you as well. Because when you choose a book, you're being both student and teacher. You're first becoming a teacher and saying, listen, when you're alone in the bookstore, you're like, okay, now this looks better than this book. I'm gonna mess with this. Or you start reading it, it's too simple for me. I'm wasting my time. I'm gonna read. This is a little hard, right? You're being a teacher. You're gauging yourself and you're challenging yourself. You're being a teacher of you. Then you're the student. You have to be aware of these situations. To have a real knowledge of self, also comes the exercise of working to be aware. Today's mathematics, right? We go through the mathematics. We go each day. Today is wisdom God. 2-7, all being born, right, to 9. So we use these to define the principles, to make statements of these principles. Right. We say wisdom God. Wisdom is the way that we would live with this knowledge. Well, what is the way that we live with the self? Yeah. The way of the self. Right. That actually, when it's done usefully, will born something. Will always born something. Right. You know what I mean? So you have to always be prepping. What is the knowledge of self for you? Is it your perceptions or is it the reality of things? You know what I mean? Yeah. Is it what you like or is it what you dislike? You know what I'm saying? Right. Brothers want to be healthier. They want to be stronger. They want to get in shape. But they can't get over the dislike. Right. You know what I'm saying? They can't get over the dislike. You know what I mean? They can't get over certain feelings they think are proper. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to eat all the way until I'm full. And that's where the meal is ended. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like you're some loading device. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? All of these things could be impairments. So that first thing is always be judging what is it that you are learning from. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that, I always say, can start with me. Well, who are you? Sunez, why are you here? I gave you some. Right. It's disrespectful for someone to walk in here and me not tell you who I am, though, what I've done. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You go to another school, the white man's school, they're going to give you, he's accredited by blah, blah. He goes, oh, man, that's fucking dope. You know what I mean? Right. Well, who got, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. How is he here? You know what I mean? Right. These things I'll go on and build with you about as we go along. The second thing, right, is in the most important work. We're always talking about the answers of things. You know what I'm saying? The answers. Yo, I'm God, I can explain everything. That's the westernized version of that. You'll also be expected to fly. You'll also be expected to turn water into wine, all types of shit that got nothing to do with nothing but stories.
Right, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this world wasn't built on that. It was built on scientific realities. You know what I'm saying? The mind created things that chemically created realities that caused what? Solid liquids and gases to form in such ways where it now continually interacts with us in this creation that we created.
Right.
We are what? Creator in our own creation.
Yeah.
So draw that little man, you, right? Draw that little man inside the bubble.
Right.
So it's you interacting with your own reality. And that reality that you create affects you back. And just go, oh, it's the universe talking to me. No, you did that.
Right.
And then what you don't know is what everybody else is doing too. You know what I'm saying? Because I did things so that way we could meet up here like this. You did things so you could find whoever was going to teach you. You see what I'm saying?
Right, definitely.
There's no mystery about that.
Right.
Everything is colliding mathematical equations. People don't know stuff, they just don't know the equation. It's a lot of numbers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the second thing I say is don't go by the cliche and trying to explain things. I'm God now, I have to explain everything. Well, I'm God, you know, and I can explain all these things, just trying to explain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
The questions that you develop. Always be making your next questions the second thing I tell everyone when they first come into my classroom. If you can make your next question, it means that you made sure that everything that you think you know is true. So that way your next question is only based on what you don't know.
Right.
Kid asks, hey, how do you multiply? But he don't know shit about adding. He hasn't really taken an inventory of stuff, of what he knows.
Right.
So when I say make your next question, it's what is it that you don't know? Well, are we going to spend time and say, what do we truly know? And that's the thing about the knowledge of self. Everybody wants to always race and go, I'm a knowledge 120 fast, so I'm going to get through this and stuff. But a lot of the work, though, is going back and questioning your life and seeing what I think I know. Is it really true?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Is that really true? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it I'm doing here? Like, there are so many things that we don't know. What is it I'm doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then when we do, are we justifying it or are we making up real reasons of saying, well, this is a level of development I need to get here? You know what I'm saying? Instead of justifying everything. You know, we all good.
Yeah.
See? Always be making the next question. It makes you the better student. Peace. Right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off because I'm waiting for my call to come because my phone is dead and I got no way to call him.
Okay, and you need.
No, I don't know what I mean here, but I'm gonna use the bathroom so I get some water. And let him know I was here and my phone is dead and I need to go home and charge my phone.
Well, since you're already here, please use the restroom, okay?
All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
You make your next question, okay? That's what divides. You know, one of my favorite authors was Ivan Van Sertima, right? He wrote a lot of great books and was a great scholar. He wrote a whole African Presence series, African Presence Early America, African Presence Early Asia. He edited all these books, compiled all these other Black scholars and, you know, great scholars that wrote about these things, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And he wrote books by himself too, like They Came Before Columbus, you know what I'm saying? Showing that the original people were here,
right,
and the original people traveling here was happening way before Columbus. And I make that side note to the class because you may not know about this, but a lot of Native Americans, there's always beef between original people. You know what I'm saying? That's all we know how to do.
right.
And Native Americans are like, oh, look, Africans, they didn't come here until the white man brought them over.
Right.
So that means that, you know, I just like the way our people will separate ourselves so much that we'll diss ourselves. So that means that Africans didn't know how to travel here, they stupid. And you didn't know how to travel over there, so you stupid. And only the white man smart enough
to
come over here and bring it all together, right? You know what I mean? Now the white man is the love train. You know what I mean? The fucking OJs. You know what I mean? Shit's ridiculous. But they came before Columbus, though, which a lot of Native Americans, to me, have told me why they don't like it, this and that. Show that they didn't read the book, because the book was not about blacks were the first, the Africans were the first Native Americans. It wasn't saying that.
Right.
It was saying that the interaction of people from Africa already was here, and that indigenous people already had civilizations here. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what the whole book is. It's like people use books to defame stuff, but they didn't read the book. You gotta read the book. You gotta read the book. You know what I'm saying? It's like I would say, you don't like certain music though. I go listen to it though. That way I can say all the shit I want about it. You know what I mean? I listen to even the shitty stuff. If I'm gonna talk about the shitty stuff, you know what I mean? Just so I can talk shit about it though. Always be doing the knowledge. But it's your questions. The reason I was saying about Ivan Van Sertima is because Ivan Van Sertima's real jewel was that in the beginning of his books, he had authors in there that sometimes disagreed with him or each other, but he proposed everybody's ideas. And he always talked about what's left to question. In other words, we couldn't do all these things, but what could the next generation of scholars do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's handing off the baton. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're about.
Right.
So making your questions is the real jewel. Right. Chaikanta Diop is my favorite example. You know, he wrote African Origin of Civilization, right? That already tells you what a monster that book is. You know what I mean? Like that's the monster right there. Right. And it's a hard to read book. I'll give it to you. I will be emailing it to you. I email a lot of books. I give you you will have a whole library of books in there, and it takes almost no space. You'll have it. But man, that's not a tough read. You're not gonna like me reading that book. You know what I mean? But it's a necessary book to have. So if you're not ready, you wait until you're ready to read it. Because it's boring as hell. He didn't care about making nothing readable. Right. He just cared about like, I'm gonna show these white folk. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he's from the Wolof tribe. And he started to see that the hieroglyphics and stuff had similarities to the syntax and the texture of language of the Wolof tribe. He said, oh, you know what though? This should be us. He also innovated the concept of the carbon dating. You know how they carbon date fossils, tell you how old they are, you know what I mean? Yeah. How much carbon is added. But he was like, black people, the original man is darker, right? Has melanin in his skin and is darker than the European. So if we were to carbon date the cadavers, the dead bodies in the tombs, which were preserved so perfectly, then I could carbon date and find the original amount of carbon. That would certainly be an amount that only a black peoples could have. He was wilding out with that idea. Right. But these ideas only came up because he had the ultimate question of God. You know what the ultimate question of God is? The Creator's ultimate question is, what if? What if? When you create something, you go, what if? Right? Yeah. Raekwon and RZA, they was making Cuban links, and Ghostface, they said, what if? And they made that special project, you know what I mean? The album of albums. Rakim, he's like, well, what if we just, what if I rhyme inside the rhyme? What if? Made up internal rhyming, you know what I mean? What if? That's how you create. Yeah. And if you don't learn how to develop your own questions, then you're not really developing your question as that ultimate question. Well, what if? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of what is, how does that work? Who is that? Those develop your creative questions. Because then you go, well, what if you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Very important. Develop your questions. It'll also help you develop what you think you know as a fact. Then the third thing I tell everyone is this. Bathe yourself of belief. And the reason I say it like that is because you bathe regularly. You know what I'm saying? Right. But belief is the same way. You don't get the knowledge of self. You won't leave here and say, oh, just as you was, and you said, I'm sure the black man is God. I'm sure I'm the true and living God. Right. It gets affirmed here with some good research and all kind of stuff. Yes. And now you go out there and you're good. You don't have to do anything else, though. everything else is gonna rub off. No,
Yeah.
you're gonna develop belief because there's so many things, an infinite amount of things that we're gonna try, we're already doing, that is based on things we don't know. And it accumulates like filth. So we always have to look at ourselves and say, what are we dealing with based on belief? I'll give you an example. The first thing that a student is gonna be doing, right?
Your God.
Peace.
October.
The first thing that a student is going to be doing when they learn, right? And I'll be telling it to you right now, is we first look at our diets, right? I'm sure they told you though, none of that pork and everything.
Yeah.
And then you gotta look because some of these kids, they be fooling you,
Definitely.
this and that, right?
Right.
The white man, they use every aspect of that. You know what I'm saying? They use everything.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? They use everything. And then now, and this is why everybody's going, oh, it's all natural, doesn't matter. Nowadays, companies are allowed to actually fuse chemically and completely unnaturally two natural in nature ingredients, create an abomination of something totally false. But the FDA allows you to call that a natural ingredient. You see?
Yeah, gotcha.
So everything that is even said to be natural
Right.
ain't natural. You know what I'm
Natural,
saying?
yeah.
You always gotta be doing the knowledge. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So this is the first word. So like in our diets, whether you go to the extreme that I will show all the students, which
Yes.
is the lifestyle I've lived. I've lived this lifestyle before I even had knowledge of self. I've been vegan since 1996. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't eaten pork since 1990, what was it? 1994. Haven't had dairy since 1993. So that was all bad back then. I got rid of dairy before I even got rid of, you know what I mean? But that was because it was my own health. It was hurting me. I was allergic to it.
Yeah.
Then the pork, I got rid of it. The final thing I was told, Common. I was listening to a Common Resurrection album. That's the album with I Used to Love Her. It's the album with that song. Right? He got a song called Maintaining on it. And he goes, what type of rebel eats pork? So I'm at the dinner table, Old Earth, right?
Right.
He's giving me
Yeah.
food. You know what I mean? Remember the perfection of Old Earth, right? I was always making it up to her though, because I was an asshole.
Yeah.
And she put the pork there, and I was like, oh, you need that ham. You know what I mean? She says, no, just take it off the plate. But it's like, dude, it's seeping through all the food.
Yeah,
It's too late. It's too late. I can't. And I got mad, and I couldn't play it off the table. You know what I'm saying? I was a total asshole. You know what I mean? I could have saved it, let somebody else eat it for leftovers, whatever, right? I was an asshole, you know what I mean? But that's how I served myself. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it though is that when I say bathe yourself in belief,
You show them your story,
Right?
where you from.
Hello.
And then you
Peace.
go back to what you want to do.
peace. Come on in so I can see you.
Okay.
Let me finish this thought that I had though, and I'll introduce you. Take a seat. Take a seat.
Okay.
Turn that seat how it's most comfortable for you. Yeah, turn that seat around. Be comfortable for yourself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When I say bathe yourself of belief, and I use diet as a main example because you'll never be finished fixing that diet. This society will continue to ruin every great product that you have. You know what I'm saying? And so you're always having to be researching and studying, what is good food? What is this? Is this still good? Look, there are brands I've been buying for years, right? I buy flourless bread, right? Made by living sprouted grains.
Right.
I still read the ingredients every time I buy it. Because I've been burnt by so many other, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all about the money. It's all about the exploitation. You always have to be doing the knowledge. That's what I mean by bathing yourself with belief. Never assume that you know everything about something, but always be looking for where you're most dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where are you most dirty though? Is it what I'm studying here? What subjects are you most weakest in?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of research that you need to be doing. So when I say bathe yourself with belief, this is what I mean though. Always be in that stage. Never get out of that stage. You know, Shiruya Suzuki is one of the first Zen Buddhists to bring Buddhism here, right? And when they say Zen, just so you know, when they say Zen, when they say Chan, those are just the different types of Buddhism from different places. It was originally from India, and when it went into Japan, it's mainly called Zen.
Yes.
When it went into China, it's called Chan. You know, so people just go Zen shit and then don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's really just China.
it's really the Japanese. And it has lots of jewels and all this stuff. You know,
Yes.
and a lot of these versions of Buddhism They're original people, so they've come to conclusions that are ideal to what we say.
Yes.
We didn't make up the black man is God.
Right.
That's a scientific fact we teach it. So other people have stumbled on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't own that. You know what I'm saying? If it's true, we wouldn't own it. If it was a lie, we could own that shit and copyright it. Just like you can own a fake genetically modified seed.
Right.
It's not part of nature. I made that shit, so I get to own it, right? But bathing yourself with belief is always going to be, where is it that you're weakest in and it's affecting you most? That's the way you go to study. For all the new students, I'm always going to point you to diet, because we're working on learning how to fast, learning how to do all these things. And even if you students don't go as far as, let's say I do, with the vegan living foods diet, because I'm not just vegan because I'm not here eating a whole bunch of processed fake meats. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said, these will be chemical reactions that, like, the other day we was going through the meats, right? A couple of classes ago, and they gave me fake meats. You know that most of the fake meats, they add methylcellulose. Methylcellulose is a laxative. Because they know that all the fake protein that they construct doesn't really get absorbed here. You eat these burgers like, 19 grams of protein. I'm diesel now. You know, and I'm a little guy. The 19, that's gonna, woo, you know?
Yeah.
But it's got methylcellulose in it because the paste, it's not gonna stay in there.
Yeah.
But they need to help you get rid of that fake stuff because it's not part of that. Don't belong in there.
Definitely.
Don't worry, methylcellulose will get it right out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, whoever gave you a meal with a laxative inside, you know, just in case, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these are things that we have to constantly be learning, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean by bathe yourself with belief. Brother, what's your name again?
Oh, I'm Thomas.
Thomas?
Thomas, yes. Hello.
All right, Thomas, where are you from? Where are you from, Thomas?
Oh, I'm from New York. I was born in New York. I live here in Harlem.
Okay. What borough in New York were you born? What borough? You born?
Manhattan. Manhattan.
Okay. All right. We call Manhattan Mecca. We usually refer to Harlem and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But everywhere God goes is Mecca. You know what I'm saying? My name is Sunez Allah. Sunez Allah.
Allah.
Okay? It's a name I created out of the supreme alphabet. Sunez. Savior of the universe now shows and proves the equality of zigzag zig. Zigzag zig means knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Right? Or simply put, Sun is Allah. Sunez Allah. That is my name. I teach this course, the Peace course, Political Education and Civilization Enrichment. It is a course like any other at the School of the Nation of Gods on Earth. You walked into Allah School of Mecca, the first school of the 5% Nation of Gods on Earth.
Right.
This is the only school that was given to this nation by the mayor of the city. Okay? So Mayor John Lindsay gave us this school and this property. Okay? Right? So a lot of people think like, oh, they're just wilding out, they're not doing things for the community. We got this because we got this shit.
Right.
That's how we got this. You know? That's a fast, and just to finish that quick, primer, I've been teaching here since 2000.
2000.
Since 2000.
Oh, that's
So this is
21 years.
Yeah, that's a good amount, right? This is the oldest running class ever at the school. Okay. So like I told Black, whatever you ask me, Thomas, though, I've probably already heard. Okay? And whatever you ask is not going to be crazy out the box. Okay? That includes everybody online here and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because of the pandemic and all these years I've been teaching, there were times where we couldn't come to the school. The school had to be closed, like a lot of other facilities, right? I started to teach it online as well. So if you ever miss and you can't come to the school, just go to my, you go to my YouTube channel. I will give you all this information, okay? This class comes with an entire curriculum and access to a lot of digital books, okay? I give you a lot of books. I give you a lot of lessons, plus what we call plus lessons that we create. And these are lessons that I've created to go along in the classroom, you know what I mean? But just like any other class at the school, it is focused on teaching that knowledge of self, who we are, with the prerequisite that there is no mystery God. But then why? Why is there no mystery God? You know what I'm saying? And then who is that true and living God? The lessons say the true and living God is the Asiatic black man. Well, who's the Asiatic black man? What does that mean, Asiatic? What does that mean, black man, when it's written in there? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What did it mean when Elijah Muhammad was teaching it as his supreme wisdom to the nation of Islam and teaching them that they were Muslims? What he defined, okay, not the dictionary, right? What he defined as those who submit to the will of Allah. Don't worry, that's just King Justice. Those who submit to the will of Allah. That's what he defined Muslim as. You know what I mean? You know how people say Muslim, they go through the etymology, the science of the origin of words. They go, no, Muslim means man of peace and stuff. That's not what he said. You know what I'm saying? He said it was one who submits to the will of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Okay? I don't know if you're aware of that history. Thomas.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Okay. You let me know if I'm being redundant.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to put certain things together before I ask you what you came for. Anyway, the teachings that we call our 120 lessons that we memorize and work to gain understanding of, we don't believe them. We use them to gain insight, a tool to gain insight. And whatever it is that we truly see is correct in there is because we went and we worked to show and prove it. Now, like any good scholar, many of the things that Elijah Muhammad said that sounded crazy ended up being true. So now, looking at 120 is different, right? Because now you say, listen, a good scholar says, look, that man's been right about a lot of things. Then we'll go research and let's research what he said first as opposed to that other man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, you know, it was all seen as crazy talk when he was saying that the moon was blown from the earth. You know, he said that. He said they came and hit it with high explosives. But then when you watch documentaries about the moon today, any recent one, you know, or I have a lot of books about the moon. You know, my daughter's name is Moon. I named her Luna Luz. It means moonlight. You know what I mean? My oldest daughter. Luna Luz. Luna means moon in Spanish. Luz, L-U-Z, is Spanish for light. Moonlight.
Oh.
My name is Sunez. Sun is.
Right.
Of course, I had to name my first daughter
Right.
Moonlight. You know what I'm saying? Because everything I'm sharing to her, she'll be able to share. You know what I mean? Luna Luz. You know what I mean? But anyway, when you study books about the moon today, they say the things that Elijah Muhammad was saying that sound crazy. When Elijah Muhammad was teaching, it sounded crazy to say that the first man was the African, the black man. You know what I mean? That was crazy. People did not believe that. And with all good judgment too, though, Elijah Muhammad wasn't trying to prove it either. You know what I mean? He said, oh, that's not true. He said, no, I will bring you brimstone and hellfire. You know what I'm saying? He didn't bring that. He just said, listen, you will die. I know this is true, and Allah will come back. And he came in the same person of Master Fard Muhammad, and he's going to come back and destroy you all, the wheel of Ezekiel, and all that, whatever it is, right? He taught a religion, but the religion had a truth that God was one of the rare religions where God is not a mysterious being, energy, or force.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
The difference is that there was one student in there who came from the Korean War, extremely well decorated. Extremely well decorated. He was like G.I. Joe type decorated. Medals and everything, right? I've seen it. His name was Clarence Smith. And when Clarence Smith went to the Nation of Islam, because he came back from the war and his wife was in there. So he tried it out. How do you try it out? Back then, right? They didn't tell you what they were about. They said, hey, brother, you want to learn? You got to come down to the mosque on Sunday, you know, you come see what we teach and everything. And, you know, you had to apply. You had to write a letter to get that X. Like Malcolm got the X.
Yeah.
You got to write a letter and everything. You got to write a letter. You ever seen the Malcolm X movie?
Yeah.
With Denzel? He had to write that. He had to write that letter.
Oh yeah.
That's the letter. You had to write. You can't just be like, nah, I'm in this joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So, difference with Clarence Smith, who was the 13th Clarence to go in there.
Oh.
So he became Clarence 13X.
Wow.
He also was well decorated, so he became part of the FOI, which is the Fruit of Islam, the military training of men in the Nation of Islam, right? And he did some things differently. The Supreme Wisdom, what we call 120, he started to memorize. It's like military shit. You memorize the objectives, you memorize all the information. He also did something different that they didn't really do. Some young brother comes and he goes, yo, what's that stuff all about, man? He goes, yo, man, we teach that the black man is God. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. Right? For those, I left out father because that wasn't in their teaching. Right? They said, no, you ain't supposed to go tell them that stuff. You're supposed to bring it to the mosque. And the thing is what? Here's the thing. Nation of Islam teaches that the black man as a concept is the true and living God. But he came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, who is said to be a polymath. Do you know what a polymath is? One who's versed in all types of, who's a massive next level scholar. A real life polymath would be somebody like, for example, Rabindranath Tagore, right? He was a Bengali Renaissance writer. He wrote books, plays, philosophy books. He wrote books that Indians in Bollywood make movies of, like The Home in the World. He's a great writer. That's why I like him. He's a philosopher. He opened up ashrams, which are like universities that they have out there, right?
Yeah.
He did all types of. He even wrote songs. Like he was composing songs, but not like 2 or 3. He did like hundreds of them, and he was doing everything. So that kind of person you call like a polymath, because he did so many things.
Right.
That was what Fard Muhammad was said to be, because none of us saw him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But somebody came because somebody taught this knowledge.
Right.
Somebody taught this information in this packaged way.
Yeah.
Right? And what we do know is that Elijah Muhammad was Elijah Poole. And Elijah Poole only had a 3rd grade school education, son of a preacher. So the only thing you could assume is that he'd be good at being swift with the word, like getting them people in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His father's a preacher, he might be swift at the tongue.
Right.
But as far as having lots of knowledge, how do you get that? How do you be able to make an economic institution? How was he able to, you know what I mean? To network, all that kind of stuff. But the difference was, in their teaching, it says that the black man is God. But Elijah taught them that you are Muslims. Muslim is one who submits to the will of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Okay? Clarence 13X was in there. I said, I don't know who that Fard is. He's no longer here. Right. And this teaching says, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man. And the original Asiatic black man is the God of the universe. Right. If I'm the original man, then I'm Asiatic black man. Right. And that means I'm the God. Right. So he's like, I'm the God now. And he left. Certain people left with him. Certain people still alive that left with him. Like Hashim, who I know. And they agreed with him because he said, nah, I'm God. Right. I'm Allah. Right. He started calling himself Allah. Blasphemy. Blasphemy. Right. And he left the temple. He did it respectfully. He said, listen, I'm not dealing with that. I'm going to leave. You can do whatever you want, brother. And he left, right? He left. So what happened? He starts to teach what he knows, but who's the most receptive? The children, the youth. The youth, the ones who are running, gunning, the boosting, doing all types of stuff. And he starts teaching the downtrodden. He didn't take a trip to City College and be like, yo, who are the good kids with the GPA? You know what I mean? Right. I'm going to teach you something. Nah, he was teaching, brother was doing stuff and he looked like, he knows something. He's like, come here. That's what he's teaching. And the first 9 born, who he said it was the first 9 students he focused on, he said, you my first 9 born, you go teach 9. And make them teach 9. And that was how we get our tree. So when you trace your tree back to one of those first 9 born, that's why it's so important. You know what I mean? Because you can show that you have that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody that gets the knowledge, though, is going to be able to be able to trace their tree. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult. Like you get it. Some brothers
Yeah.
might not have like a structured class when they locked up.
Right.
They just get it from somebody that just passed it to them. You know,
Yeah.
you're
Come
like,
to the card when you're
I was,
ready.
yo, I never seen no shit like that. I'm gonna keep that. Where I gotta go to get this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they get stuff. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I've had students that were past letters I wrote to other people
Oh wow.
and then came off of that
Um,
to hope that it wasn't altered enough where like Sunya said some crazy shit. And I'm
Right,
like, yo,
right.
I didn't even, you know what I mean? Right? I'll give you an example. If you ever see 120 lessons, the entire 120 lessons on a sheet of paper,
right.
where you see the front and the back all printed in tiny, tiny lettering in like, I think it's about 4 columns.
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, wow.
Because years ago I was working at a publishing firm and I was bored out of my wits. I said, what if and this is before like computers, you know, you have
Right,
your phone.
right.
So I'm like, yo, I can't carry 120 though, like 1,000 papers of you know what I mean?
Right.
What if I was walking the streets like that? And I said, yo, I'm gonna see if I can make this document here and just squeeze everything in smallest font possible, make that shit man tiny. And
Right.
I did it. That became circulated.
Oh wow.
Because the older guards, P.E.A.C.E, he started giving that out. You know what I mean?
Right,
He started making
right,
copies
right.
of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And giving it to people, which I would never do because I don't teach that way. I don't give you all of 120. You know what I'm saying? You gotta the way you learn 120 is broken up into pieces, right?
Right.
Math and alphabet is what the Father created.
Yes.
This is not from the nation Islam. Okay?
Yes.
So when you do quote the math, the alphabet, that's something that the Father created.
All right.
Now, taking 120 lessons out of the supreme wisdom, that's what he got from there.
All right.
But certain things change. Like, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization. He added it. God of the universe. He added the father of civilization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Little things like that. The wisdom degree said that the white man was the skunk of the planet Earth, though. He took that out. He was like, that. There ain't no animals coming from us, though, whether you graft them or not, though. You know what I mean?
All right.
Because
Gotcha.
he felt we're responsible for everything. So why would we treat people less humane?
Right.
We're not going to be leaders of the world.
Right.
And if we're creators in our own in all this creation, the creators, right? We can't deal with humanity and be dehumanizing people like the way we do humanize. That's why people get mad. They get mad that the progress of building a righteous world is way, way eons slower
Right.
than the building up of this devilish world or the sustainment of this devilish world. But it's because we have principle. There's things you're not going to do. If it was just about who's running shit,
Right.
we could have scooped up a long time ago.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not who we are. So it has to take a longer time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Has to, you know? But those teachings, when he left, was around these revelations came around 1963 and he left. By 1964, this nation is considered to be established around October. Because that's when he starts to teach those people, those students that become his firstborn.
Right.
So when he meets like those firstborn, like born Black Messiah, firstborn Black Messiah, firstborn Prince,
Right.
of who I learned with as well,
Um,
who passed away years ago,
Yeah.
right? Who I had the opportunity to learn with, right? These are the firstborn, and that's when our nation is considered to officially begin. And it's interesting. Nation, a word coming from the etymology of nation, the root meaning coming from the Latin root, nacer. Spanish people will say nació, born,
Yeah.
right? And nacer with an IE instead of an IO like in Spanish, because it's Latin, it's not Spanish. That means birthright. Our nation is not the land that we stole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not the place that we rule over.
Right.
It's the identity of who we show and prove. And the reality that we are creating everything. And that this nation, God and earth, are always responsible for everything.
Right.
And we take that mantle. So it includes all of humanity.
Yes.
Because what isn't under God and earth?
Right.
Nation of God and earth. That's why we say that. Some people don't like the word nation of God and earth because
Definitely.
they were taught, right? They were taught that the Father never said that we would be called nation of God and earth. And they are correct. You see?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also taught to be innovators and daring.
Right.
and to build things that are right and exact.
Right.
And so when I teach you that we call ourselves the 5% nation of God on earth, is because we are a nation that is based on who we are,
Right.
our identity. You know what I mean? And that includes all of that. The truth is, some people say we're only the 5% nation and that's it. That's all. But 5% is because we're 5% that know.
Right.
And 85% don't.
Right.
And 10% blood suck that truth.
Mhm.
But that percentage will not always stand. See?
Right.
And remember, when you call yourself a 5%, it also could lead to your own what? Arrogance. That you're the one that knows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So always remember that. So we are 5%ers, but it always has to come with some type of real humility.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But this is the reality. You know what I mean? This is the reality. Yes, I gave a whole run through.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And again, if I say something, if I ever say something that you need me to say again, you know what I mean? Or you want to backtrack and get more details on, please. That's for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Let me see some of these comments here. Because I'm focusing on black here. Yo, I noticed when I start teaching the students here, the chat gets mad quiet though. Quati's got some questions. He always has great questions. Let me see. Knowledge Allah, come on, man. You said CP3 no chip ever. LeBron is just good. How good was LeBron when he was crying on the floor there? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. Listen, I'm old school. I know that Jordan is the GOAT. Okay? I'm old school. You know, I'm old school. I know that Jordan is the GOAT. Okay? I know how dominant he was before he got the chips and while he got the chips. And when we talk about greatness, this is in all fields. Greatness is something that when you reach that pinnacle and that peak, it was done perfectly. Come on. The real reason I'm anti-LeBron is because I hate his sportsmanship.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't like his sportsmanship. You know what I mean? I don't like the crying. I don't like the flopping. I don't like any of that shit. His biggest success in coming back and beating the Warriors also includes him crying to get Draymond kicked out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's always some type of lack of sportsmanship and just real weakness that goes on. I hate that. It's annoying as hell to me, and I just can't be a fan of that. You know what I'm saying? I can't be a fan of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if a guy loses all the time.
Right.
I like if he goes out, like Westbrook loses all the time.
Right.
But he goes out hardcore. And that's another thing though. If you're that man though, you gotta take the shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And LeBron got too many instances where he could have taken a shot and didn't. So when he says LeBron is just good, I'm cringing here. You know what I mean? Cringing here. Quatis, you said, while doing this round of reflection, I found myself what is the difference between who I am and what I am. That's a great way of putting it. The difference between who I am and what I am. I tell you that the black man is God. But right now, though, where are you at in that reality? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What would that mean to you in how you deal with other people's? And how you deal with family? You know what I mean? Does it make you responsible for what now?
Right.
What particular things?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Is it just to stay alive?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we have to make those decisions and how we deal with it.
Once you go check them out in the back, they about to have a social call. They go all the way in the back by the tree.
That's peace, God.
Yes.
Quatis, you said, what character does personality fall into? Perhaps these are elementary questions, but I want your take on it. See, this is a good question, actually. The more simple questions are where you get the greater difficulty because they can have more answers to them. Now, this idea of personality, right? Your personality, right, is the way that you consistently react to things. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes your personality could always be mired in some type of wrong behavior. So now you have to say that the personality is not static, like it doesn't stay the same. But because our conditions are kept the same, we'll have a consistent reaction. And even, for example, epigenetically, certain realities are happening down the line, ancestor to ancestor, great grandfather to grandfather to the father, and to us, the sons. That a certain reality has been consistent and a certain reaction has been engaged in. These reactions are said to be now the personality traits that are handed down. And a lot of times it's the situations that are really just as consistent. You see? Right? So when I say this though, the personality is what you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? The personality that you have is what you make it to be and what you develop it to be. So now you have to see if your personality continues to be consistently a certain way. First, you have to say, is it the way am I okay with that? I'm not okay with that. And now you have to see, well, what is nurturing that? You know what I'm saying? What lack of discipline, lack of reflection, lack of composure, what is causing that? And then we go back and start to do the knowledge to the environment. What type of foods you eat? When do you eat these foods? How comfortable are your meals? Listen, we talk about personality, but food is going inside this body and either causing havoc or adding on at each and every turn. So then, how is that nurturing or denaturing us, right? And the same goes with ourselves. How can we go nature versus nurture, but the mind is supreme and you can actually nature yourself. We create our creation and we can actually force our reality to actually promote the nurturing of ourselves. This is crucial. You know what I mean? So we say personality. I don't think it's consistent. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it always stays consistent. I think it could be changed. I don't know. I hope that begins to answer some of the question there.
Who? Who's me?
Notice how today's math born back to born. And the God got 3 on his shirt, and we know 3 is a square root of 9. See, as soon as it's sharp. Yeah. By the way, Born Reality, Born Reality says peace to Day Sun. Day Sun spelled with no Y, just DASUN.
That's Moon's, what's it, Night Moon. Rio said his name is Night Moon. He's Bizarro World Day Sun. Night Moon. It's divine law, save the universe now. The divine is unknown to those who are trapped within the 21st degree to 1 to 36. Which elevate.
Word?
What? DX21. That's always been it. DX21. The divine is unknown to those who are trapped in the 21st degree. Do you mean to say that some of them do not know that they are blank? You fill in it. You decide. This is a choose your own adventure book. Welcome to Gods in the Ghetto.
Born Reality, you said the wisdom of Allah God is supreme math and supreme alphabet. Okay. I see it. Peace now, Allah. I appreciate that. Indeed, we have to use all book knowledge. New person I see here. I don't know if I'll say it right. Kizar Kwaiko Laban. Craterocracy, meaning, I guess, equals, meaning makes right. Their story, their narrative. I don't know what context you're saying that in. Was it about when I was talking about what? Okay. You let me know. Let me know. We could discuss that. You know what I'm saying? All right. Peace, Jack King. Nobody was kicked out. I don't know if you're referring to the classroom. I haven't kicked out anybody in the chat or here. No. Rome, peace, Rome. Knowledge born, peace. Malik, peace. Hit it right in the head on the button, Sunez. LeBron is the baby. By the way, it's a lot of bias, though. You know what I'm saying? Because if you know the way I like basketball and sports, I like gracefulness, artistry. That's what I watch sports for, to spark the art, the mind of artistry. So a player like Curry is always going to be some of that artistry. Kyrie Irving, artistry. Kevin Durant, artistry. Melo, you know. Watching LeBron is just boring. I don't. Never been, I find his dunks boring. It's like Carmelo 2.0. It's not really. Rome Quatis is definitely wise. Definitely wise. He has great questions and great insights. All right, so let me know. Let me know. I've caught up to what's said here. Right now it's just us now. By the way, when you see a polo shirt and it has the number 3 on it, the number 3 is usually seen as the best player on the polo team. That's why the 3 is the most used number on the Ralph Lauren shirts. All right, I'll be back. Give me 1 second to get rid of this gum.
Divine, you open up the computer room, the charcoal's in there. How much was it? How much did it cost? All right. No. That's on the ongoing checklist, so we would check that before we went. How we was what? And that's it already over. Yeah. Oh, the computer room. Remember I still got wizard cycle about here. I don't know anything about that shit. You just talk about me, I don't use that.
Still, I'm in the 80s.
The cement is in my car. I just go from there.
Yeah. Shit. All right, let me know what we on. What are we on now? Jarrell P's got. How do you see? You're asking me. How do you see taking the devil off the planet? As I currently undergo my fast, and I've been paying attention to the most recent degrees. This is something that came to mind. Is there anything I should pay particular attention to in taking the devil off my planet while fasting? I don't know what exists. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to take. How do we take the devil off the planet and all that kind of shit? Like,
Take the devil off where you planted. Devil is in your mind. Remember Paul said,
indeed, yeah.
Take the devil off
Right,
the
right.
planet, take the devil off
I'm
your
trying
mind.
to answer it
You talking about
concretely.
physically?
I'm trying to answer it concretely. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And just give myself the harder path.
Are you doing the koan?
Not yet. No.
All right.
No.
You know I like koans.
Yeah. You know, here's why I'm taking a minute with this, right? I keep saying that we got the knowledge of self. We were the ones that were lost and got the knowledge of self. We're the ones that live during this devil civilization, right? We're the perfect ones for this shit. We're the perfect warriors for this. We're the perfect ones designed to make knowledge born. And what I was saying before, this is a slow process. You know what I'm saying? Yo, let me put it to you this way, right? Yeah, I was reading a book, God. Elijah Muhammad book that was released recently. Compilation. Let's see. From 2009. An economic blueprint for Black America. It's from 2009. And the forward is by Avian Rashan Muhammad, though. And I'm making knowledge born. You know why I'm making knowledge born? Because, yo, people write books and it's to present Elijah Muhammad's teachings, but they got to throw darts. You know, they got to throw darts at us. You know what I mean? And he said, let me see if I can catch the notes. And I'm opening up my Kindle here, and I don't know where it would let me retrieve the notes. No, not there. If I could find a way to retrieve the notes, because but in the introduction to this book, not Elijah Muhammad, but the one who wrote the foreword, he talks about other people's coming and expecting things from them, like the nation of gods and earths, and they were either insufficient or ignored. And you know what's interesting in that is, like, again, this shit is not about salvation. You know what I'm saying? Taking the devil off the planet is not something that you're waiting to see. That's something that they wait to see. We're here to do that shit. We're here to do that. You know what I'm saying? We're here to actually develop ourselves so strong that we're able to share with the youth the insights and create forums for the youth to actually take the devil off the planet. You know what I'm saying? And when you're taking the devil off the planet, you're saying, like, I'm not thinking about what to do with them. I'm thinking of how to create something greater and greater and greater. This is our creation. And we make it so right and exact that it has no space for anything else. You see? It has no space for worrying about what they do, because they're just different. Everything is just different obstacles. You know what I mean? Everything is different obstacles, you know? It doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? So on a daily, I don't think about, you know, taking a devil off my planet. You know what I mean? Oh, the devils that took off my planet. I don't look at myself as being filled with massive impurities. You know what I'm saying? I look at myself as someone that's ever developing. And every single form of devilishment, is just an obstruction of hell, meaning hell work that I am ready to engage in. You know what I'm saying? So as I take the devil off, that's how it's worked daily. These are the obstacles that we expected. You know what I'm saying? Did you ever think that their best is just a minimal? You know what I'm saying? And see, once you start being reactionary, then you start to be proactive and think about the next levels you could take it. And then there's no worry about that. There's just an awareness of what they're doing, you know? I don't know if that begins to answer what you're asking me. I hope it helps. Dissolving the belief in the mystery God, knowledge born says replacing ignorance. Yes, absolutely. Definitely self-centered, if we could use that word, right? Peace, Master. Easy at a God, you said I have a question. I heard is referring to the knowledge add on a cipher degree in the 1 to 14. One cannot actually murder devil, but instead 4 devils, lust, envy, hatred, greed must be mastered. Yes, that's what a lot of the elders taught us. You know what I mean? I don't bear witness that devils are feelings though, because they they um they make you aware of things. You know, I talk about personality can be developed. Those are things that make you aware. You know what I mean? So they should make you aware of stuff. You know, right? And I had a build where I had built on what I considered to be the 4 devils. You know what I'm saying? And they really had to do with the self. You know what I mean? They had to, instead of dealing with the feelings, they dealt with the major products of devilishment. You know what I mean? Hope that answers it a little bit. Okay. Knowledge born self-centric would probably be a better way of saying that. Yes. Yeah, I go with that too. Yeah. Let me see if I find that. Where would it be? All right.
right, peace. All right. Go ahead, lock up.
Good evening, She-Man.
Peace, God. Uh, let me quickly give you like what I thought would like to be four devils, you know, and this could be how this could be a degree where you would get your own understanding. You just have to show and prove it. But I said the first one, and these are important to me. I had said that the first was procrastination. You know what I mean? I mean,
Hey, Sean, lock up.
a lot of science about creating is also based on letting the mind drift, letting the mind wander. And so when I say that the first devil I saw as procrastination is because that balance between letting your mind develop an idea and then actually taking action on the idea is something we could get lost in. It's very difficult, you know what I mean? And at least, and that's really what procrastination is, you know? There's a fine line between developing something and then carrying it out. You know, taking something from the ready stages, is it actually ready or not? Right? The second one was why why I build as the major teaching that I tell everybody when they first come into my classroom of bathing yourself in belief. Second one is belief in the mystery God. And the truth is that this is something that can always creep into what you're dealing with. So if this mathematics goes from knowledge to born, sometimes your knowledge though, what you say and what you think might be no mystery God. But how you act and how you move and the way that you really understand things still has that concept of a mystery God. See?
In the heart, ongoing task. At least know those things and make sure that we're doing it if you're not doing it yourself. See something needs to be done, do it. Those are the things. Shutting the water on and off, making sure the gates are locked, all fires contained, clear all synthetics, maintain borders, hydrate, train service.
So, the third one, right? I'm reading this and I'm not looking at the chart, right? Okay. The third I said is unrefined power, right? And now I don't build with everyone to have refinement in their degrees, but it also means that I also know that all power has to be focused. And anyone that has the knowledge of self knows, right? Anyone that has the knowledge of self knows that whether he is ignorant to it or not, or all the original people have power. You see? And one of the worst forms of devilishment is to not be cognizant of how you're focusing your power, to know that you always have it, right? And at any time you think it's not there, it's just being misused. You see? Technically, there is no weakness. It is power being misused. It is unrefined, misused, right? So that's a form of devilishment to me, especially when you have the knowledge of self. You know what I mean? And then the fourth one is an obvious one to me. Since it's the culture one, the fourth one, I said lacking the way or mentality of having the babies, the children, as the ultimate directive. In other words, when we deal with things, our understanding always has the wisdom of perception. In other words, the way that we do things is always children-centered. If that's not your way of doing stuff, if that's not the ultimate directive, if that the creations, the works, the great things that you make is not directed in that nature, it's devilishment. You know what I mean? I'll take it no other way. You know, so for me, those are for me personally, and how I've written it, those the four devils, though. This is actually part of a book that I'm writing. So it's all in it, though. I guess seeking external validation, though, that could be a reasoning behind some of these devils. But if someone said that was a see external validation, that's an interesting concept, right? Because to be a good student, you would need external validation. You know what I'm saying? Right? Peace to Supreme Divine. I'm just seeing you right now. So having validation of things, you know what I mean? There's types of validation that are necessary. You know what I'm saying? That would come in the form of approval. That would come in the form of, you know, this is correct. This is the right way to go. You know what I mean? Right? See, I took away, and I don't teach. I don't teach refinement anymore in the mathematics because it gets learned incorrectly. It's so associated with it being the word refinement also means culture. And in 120 though, that's certainly what it means when it says one having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement is not a savage in the pursuit of happiness. And so that definition of refinement is the one that is being used or misunderstood in having it in the power degree. The truth is that power is something that is sustainably true, but not shared in the same way. So to me, the refinement was the focus of that power because, power is the truth. It's the truth. But that truth is not what power is. Power is the intensity and influence of that truth. That actually is the knowledge that was wisdom that became an understanding that was lived out as your culture. So the power is not the truth. Okay? It is the what? The intensity of the presentation of that truth. And a lot of times it is not properly directed. And refinement is a synonym for that. But when I teach it that way, as I have always taught it that way, as focus, like a laser is light that is focused, it gets confused and misconstrued. You know what I mean? And so some of my students have refinement in their power degree. Some don't. But all of them know the history of how that was put in there and allowed to be put in there by the Father for those gods that were from Mecca, that they were told that and they utilized it as a lesson. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. You know what I mean? Just in case somebody was watching this and they was on their super Medina shit and they wanted to go, but soon, yeah, got you. Refer to minute, 9 o'clock hour, 9:05, boom, right? Read on, you know what I'm saying? Right? The more I do these classes, the less I get sound bitten. You know why? Because most people that like to troll, they don't do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? People that talk a lot, though, people that have the worst things to say, that's also how external validation becomes devilish, because you go on these social media and people that say the most are doing the knowledge the least. You know what I'm saying? And those are most destructive people. You know what I'm saying? Those are the most destructive. You know? I had a troll tell me today that they listen to every hip hop record ever released. And I'm like, nigga, how? You know what I'm saying? Because if I ain't done it, you ain't done it. Shit. Right? It's probably like 30,000 albums. Peace, Thomas, peace. It's probably 30,000 albums of hip hop I've heard. This nigga said he heard more. Stop it. You need to stop it. Sounded like a fool. You know what I mean? So it happens we don't do the knowledge. Right. Lamp and laser, the focus. You know what I'm saying? You know? And when you look at it, right, the laser and the lamp are both useful. You know what I mean? So it's the levels of refinement as well. You know what I'm saying? Some messages are for everyone, and some messages are only for a few. Some directives and things are for everyone. Some creations are not for everybody. Some are for, you know what I'm saying? Right? Some artwork and some arts are for only a certain amount of people. Others are for a more broad-based people. You know what I'm saying? Right? Assuming that, that's quality. Right? Yeah, 7 Yeah, that's the most ignorant shit. Like when people say stuff like that, it's like as stupid as saying I read every book. You know what I mean? Um, People that really study music, people that, as myself, people that really work on it, that have made music, that study music, that write about music, people that read books, that really study books, that really collect books, they're the first ones that know that, nah, this is lifetime reality because there is no way to end that. No. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I've never even heard a jazz aficionado, real jazz head, that was a real collector tell me that they've heard every jazz record. Because now they know that they would have said the most dumbest shit ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it was on my IG, man, because I shared an old review I did of Pun. You know what I'm saying? Pun's Capital Punishment. And I was trying to, in the post, I was sharing in the piece, but also teaching, how, what is it that they changed and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Right? Supreme Divine, you said it's hip hop now. I don't know what that means. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that means. What are you saying? Give me that whole question, please. Supreme Divine, you said jazz changed form. It's hip hop now. No, if you talk to people that make jazz or from that era, though, they would cringe and cry at that statement. I just read the whole thing in one thing. I thought you made two separate statements. You said jazz changed form. It's hip hop now. No, 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 no. Jazz has a certain ethos, a way of creating it that is black and creative and based on massive creativity and improvisational creativity. And it, like all other black genres, from salsa to reggae to anything else, it transfers and gets passed on. But I just want to say this: history, whether it's music history or real life history, do not simplify it that way, because that's how we're taught in school. It does not go like he went from here and became this and became that. That's not how it goes. Greeks don't just become Romans. You know what I'm saying? It's Greeks and they falter and fail and become many other things, and then other things get to sprout up. It's not Greek become Roman. You know what I'm saying? It's not jazz becomes hip hop. It's not the way history works. You know what I mean? There's a nuance to history because life is nuanced and life is lived. So it's different. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just tell Jazz said that. He's crying right there. He'd be like, what are you saying? You know what I'm saying? That is disgusting. You'd be disgusted at what you were saying. Goddamn hip hop. Don't know nothing about no music. The 793, you asked the single or the entire project. I think you're referring to what I was being at. No, the troll was saying he heard every hip hop album ever made. I was talking about, I had shared on my IG, I wrote the original review for Capital Punishment, the Capital Punishment album for Double XL. You know what I mean? Just like all the work that was given to major magazines then and now, it was beat up. You know what I mean? And I was giving the little history of how you could tell the writing that was there, that was mine. You know what I mean? And what was altered and things like that. You know what I mean? Supreme Divine. You said way of manifestation by original people with time-changing formed hip hop. You're giving me an esoteric answer though, and I'm taking your statements out of the esoteric though. You know what I'm saying? You said way of manifestation by original people with time-changing formed hip hop. I mean, that's not enough. That's not enough because there's outside forces. You know what I'm saying? There's outside forces that, you know, like, in other words, what I mean by taking out of the esoteric is like, that's not a useful answer that people could use. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because we could say that about anything that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I go like this because it's a true statement. Disco came out of R&B. It was a way of manifestation by original people with time-changing formed disco from the R&B. You see how that statement is so esoterically generic that it doesn't add on. When we build with mathematics, so we have to add on. We have to say something concrete. That's why people ask me questions, and I'm spending the time to make a concrete answer, not just give you a fancy mental some fancy jargon to loop into an understanding. Real insight. The God was right. The devil planted in your mind. But we go outside, there's real devils. So I got to answer, what is a real devil? You know what I'm saying? We talk about music. That's not how it's formed. You know what I'm saying? It's not formed like that. It feels that way. It is like that. It has that reality. It's a creation. But it's not a clean, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't clean like that. It doesn't work clean like that. You know? You talk to, a lot of people making music, a lot of people that are pioneers are just trying to make something that expresses themselves. They don't even know. You know what I'm saying? A lot of other times people are making things that just want to be different. And it's all in the beauty of originality. It's simplicity. You know? But one thing to learn, Supreme Divine, we have to make this as real as possible because we have countless beautiful texts that abstract and esotericize and do all that to this knowledge of self. I know I'm a student, as a martial artist, I'm a student of the ancient text, the Taoist text, the Zen Buddhist text, the Mayan text, the Maya text, right? Not the Maya text. What the hell am I saying? The Mahayana, not Mayan. That's not Buddhism, right? But a lot of the ancient Eastern texts that are written beautifully. You know what I mean? And it's a fine line. It's a fine line, right? You beautify language to make a point, though, so that it stays with the person's head. That's one of the great things. That's really one of the jewels in the manifestation of what art is. Peace, God. Right when my voice was getting raspy, the God came through. That, by the way, is Day's son. He's critical to my reality. You know what I mean? That's a way of putting it, right, Day's son?
What was that?
I said the God Day's son is critical to my reality. Okay. We're all creators in this creation, though, but man, we're doing a lot of this shit together.
Yes, sir. We're not together.
Shit.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. All minds are as one.
Asiatic God. Okay, you're talking Alanis Born. Okay. I'm reading your statement here, and I'll interrupt you. You said if I said the word entire sounds like entire, would I be interpolated? First of all, when you do things like that, you got to look at the etymology, though, because sometimes words are created that sound like they fit like that, but that's not nowhere near how they came to be like that. Also, interpolating is a little different. Interpolating means that you're putting in different words into another text. You know what I'm saying? So you're using a template and putting different words into it. Most known as a song, though. So when Snoop Dogg takes Slave Song, walking down the street, watching ladies go by, watching you, right? And he did Rolling Down.
Let them know you
Okay, yeah.
I tell them, but just in case.
Indeed,
Yeah.
peace to the God, right? And then Snoop says, rolling down the street, smoking Indo, drinking on gin and juice. That's an interpolation. He took the melody and kept the structure of the words, most of the words, and he put the gin and juice in there. You know what I mean? That's what interpolating would be. So it wouldn't be what you're doing though is basically doing etymology though, but you're doing guess etymology. You know, I don't want to call it guessymology, but yeah, you know. In fact, by me saying guessymology, I'm doing the same thing. But with English, you always want to look at where these words come from because they got stuff that sounds like it comes from that, but it got nothing to do with that. And that constantly happens because English is a very, very manipulated language. You know what I mean? And how it starts is not how it goes. You know what I mean? 7:30. Okay, no, I was born said, yeah, they lead us to things. All right. 7:30 said the irony is mine, all mine, puns ad lib before you start spitting on that single. Oh. Supreme Divine, are you okay? Because you're in this chat and you only seem to be talking in abstracts. Because it's almost like you're trying too hard to write an aphorism here. Slavery is the only force. Oppression. Is it? Is it? I don't. I don't know what that means. Well, what do we do with that? I have not read the Uddhava Gita. I read the Bhagavad Gita, but not that one. No. So oppression is necessary, really, on a large scale of time, with the oppression and repression that look like the light length wave by looking at world history last few thousand years. I disagree with that emphatically. You know what I'm saying? It's not oppression that's necessary. It's some type of work. It's just work. The hell is this work? You know what I mean? There's no way to say that like what Yakub did was necessary. But it doesn't, unless we show and prove and build, it doesn't mean that it worked. You know what I'm saying? And if he was here, we might even get an idea of whether he thought it worked. You know what I'm saying? But there is no partnership. Knowledge me taught me that there's no partnership between, life and death. You know what I'm saying? So no one's going to tell me that oppression is necessary. You know what I mean? Because what is really the work that comes with this oppression? It's all internal. It's all internal work, realization of the self, and then doing things that fulfill the self. And then that's where the battle comes in, whether those that try to stop it or those that don't. The outside forces, it's not even, I'll never say that. He's had a God, you and all y'all has really gone nuts with the tire thing. I'm just leading that there. Supreme Divine, there is the same as jazz and hip hop. They have roots that are similar, okay? But that doesn't mean that they are direct. What I'm saying is that you speak about them like they're directly shift into each other. That's not how it goes, okay? All black music is going to be similar in some sense, okay? We created all music, you know what I'm saying? All black music has the nature of improvisation in it. All of it. Jazz is the most classical of music to me because it personifies it, you know? No, Supreme Divine, whether you were in my class physically or in this thing, I'd say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay? You're saying things and you're sharing things, and that's fine. So I'm commenting on them. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, if this is useful, it is sharing a different perspective on it. You know what I mean?
You good?
I'm good, yeah, definitely.
You want to lock up?
Yeah, I can lock up, God.
You want to check the gates? Make sure no open fires. That's just a fire check, lock check.
You got the back door to check. You got that locked, right? Might as well lock that. Yeah.
That door's locked. Fire check, but just do a little eyeball in case something's burning down.
Indeed, God.
I don't want to say something's burning down the school. They already said I was trying to destroy it. So let's clear up the rumors. We're doing fire checks, lock checks.
Yeah. Jazz turned into, I was like saying monkey turned into man. I don't know if it's that extreme. No, it's definitely connected. All of the music is connected because we need all the genres to make hip hop. But and to me, culturally is the most similar. I actually feel it's one of the most similar. Although I consider much of reggae and much of salsa very similar to hip hop in very profound ways. So it's the diaspora, man. All the genres are, they're all very similar. Mhm. And that's a good point too. If it was like monkey into man, the former would cease to exist. Yeah, definitely. And I do not consider jazz dead. I don't collect new jazz, but a lot of I do collect some. You know what I mean? All right, we are in the last half hour here. Good time as any to take the opportunity to ask me any questions about all that I have said in this class today. Whatever you might want to ask me, what I was saying to the students in the classroom.
Who's about the noise?
Not a speech, Scott. I got a good microphone. In this sense, though, truth rules, this concept of wisdom reflecting is more of a mulling over. You know what I mean? It's not like reflecting where you just mirroring something that you learned. You know what I mean? You're mulling over it, you're thinking on it, you're using it. You know what I mean? It's a little different than the typical reflect, like the earth reflects to God, you know, and things like that. Well, you guys get abstract. Music is just a part of nature itself, like the birds chirping and wind swishing is music. I mean, it could sound like music, but you know, yeah. Indeed, it's more science stuff, but isn't that the point? Like music is something created, so sounds, you know what I mean? Soundscapes, you know what I mean? That pass along a message. Peace to the God. Supreme Divine, are you saying that, are you still saying that jazz is just the same as hip hop, like just different? I mean, there's so many things that's different that it never could become hip hop by itself. Like, in fact, the roots of hip hop music, musically, are in some of the most, what jazz musicians would find to be the most simplified aspect. Like, for example, and I'm just gonna put it to rest here. Hip hop is based musically on the breakbeat. Hold on a minute. All right, so I was saying about hip hop, based on the breakbeat. Peace. The breakbeat goes against everything that jazz is about musically. Okay. The breakbeat is a repeated rhythmic structure. That's exactly what jazz is trying not to do. They're trying to constantly engage new rhythms. You know what I mean? And it's often I'm gonna say diluted, but not in a negative way. The diluted forms of jazz, like jazz funk and soul jazz, really jazz funk, that is the foundation of most of the samples. You know what I mean? That we be hearing. Like when people go like the jazz, Tribe Called Quest and Diggable Planets, most of the jazz they're sampling is actually not purest jazz. It's jazz funk and incredible stuff, you know, but it's not, you know. So the clear path of jazz into hip hop is just not there. You have the real thing that travels from jazz to hip hop, and there's all the others, is this ethos of originality and creating something that is absolutely unique. But that was never passed down directly. It's not passed down like that. It's not the way it went. So definitely about the methylcellulose. Yeah, definitely. It's something I was eating that stuff too. And as I'm training so hard, I'm refining my diet though. So I'm shedding a lot of body fat and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know where I'm going with it, but when I train, I can still lift the same weight that I was lifting in the same intensity. So the more I dip in body fat and can achieve those goals, then it's successful to me. You know, right? God said, "What will be the name of my book?" That particular book is that. Well, what I was reading, there's a lot of books I'm writing, but that particular book will probably just be in the first volume of my Peace Course book. You know what I mean? And just writings on my pedagogy and understanding of things and how I teach and stuff, and just put that in a book. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, and if you're trying to wean off like the fake meats and things, which you should, just try different. Seriously, it's like just go in a store and the normal vegetables you buy different vegetables. The beans that you get different beans. You know what I mean? Get different nuts. You know what I mean? And if you mess with something that is like has to be made, be as natural as possible. Something like a fermented tempeh. You know what I mean? I mean that's honestly that's the only thing I've been messing with is like organic tempeh. It's the only thing I've been messing with. Everything else is just natural foods, man. Natural. And probably the flourless Ezekiel bread that I eat. I'll have that, you know, uh, you know. But I haven't been doing any of the other stuff, right? But yeah, when you go to the store, when you go to Whole Foods, if you have time and you have some money to spend, actually be a consumer, start to read things. And now that we got our phones, I do this all the time. I'll go to the store and I'll look up ingredients. I'll write them shits down. Look them up. You know, if the if it says contains blah blah, and I'm like, why is that being pitched as good? I'll go look it up. You know, right? A lot of people they go, oh look, it has antioxidants. Have you ever looked up what an antioxidant means? Like, you don't know what that means. Yeah. You get something packaged and shit. Make sure that's your cheat meal. Don't let it be your daily meals, and then we're really onto something. You know what I mean? Then you're really onto something. When those aren't the the daily the daily foods. You know. I don't know if I can find it. I'll see if I find it here. Okay. But there was something. Blue lettering. Okay, where are the notes? How do I find the notes? Oh, okay. It's called My Notebook. Let me see if the desktop Kindle does that too. Ah, it does. Okay. Okay. You see, Adhikar, you said Sunya. So if you had a student that was undisciplined, that's a whole bunch of them. That's really what I have tons of them. Would you send them to the temple? Or would you send them to a karate class or something? I've never done that before, by the way. I've never sent a student that I thought I couldn't teach somewhere else. Um, it's not the way I teach. You know what I'm saying? And because I respect this knowledge of self so much, I just don't have it in me to just send people to lesser versions of things that I consider lesser. I could never banish a man to religion. You know, I would tell a man that they are dealing with things religiously And if they want to, that's where they need to go. But I would never prescribe it. You know what I mean? Like I would always let them know that what I'm seeing in them. Excuse me. Like, okay, what I see in them is a condition. You know what I'm saying? Um, and again, it's something that they can fix. You know what I mean? So I would never. It's just not in me to do that. You know what I mean? I would feel shitty. But when we deal with students, do we have the time to discipline them all? The truth is that they all need discipline. Um, because I study, Chinese Shaolin Kung Fu. I would never send a student to karate. What I would say is this: is that to the undisciplined student, I just prescribe the right homework. You know what I mean? If they don't do that, then I tell them that they won't be able to learn here. They'll have to go somewhere else. But why would I direct people to places that I don't bear witness to? I don't know if they'll get the right direction there. It is most likely that they'll find a home there. You know what I mean? When the father would do that is because he knew that they were sincere in the approach. Honestly, today I don't trust anybody. Like I said, I open up these books and I read the Elijah Muhammad books presented in this day and time, and they always have space to say something dark to us. Or you have your Allah teams and they write their Muslim books though, but they use all of our knowledge. The way that we present things with power and strength and vitality as the true and living God. And then they mysterize it so that way they mystify it so that way it could fit into the narrative of the NOI or the narrative of what they want to do and continue the religious way. And people do all types of devilishment. Why would I send somebody into that fucking den? You know what I mean? That's how I see it. If I could teach you how to kill and how to defend yourself, why would I send you somewhere else unless I knew what they were? You know what I mean? And as a teacher, why would I send someone to go get more discipline somewhere else, though, when I could prescribe to you the assignments that if you do them, though, will consistently develop your discipline? Unlike the father, though, I don't live my life living with the student. You know what I mean? So a lot of the ways I teach though are to be prescribed. You know what I mean? I teach you and I show you, but just the way that I learned Kung Fu, it's very similar to the way I learned Kung Fu. A lot of things are prescribed to me, and also the way I got the knowledge. Because I was already a civilized man. Education, I had education. I was already, I didn't eat pork or anything. My diet was right and exact, things like that. I was already expected to have discipline. So I was prescribed many things, and I wasn't taught like holding my hand, hanging out with people all the time. If I hung out with people, it was to learn things with them through the experience. But I didn't hang out with them to make sure that I would continue to be the God. It's a big difference. A lot of people hanging out with people all day to make sure that they stay being God. I don't teach anybody like that. Because if you're weak like that, then I can't. Shit. I mean, how old are you? You know what I mean? Like, it depends. If I'm around younger teenagers, I expect so much. Though I teach people as if they're older. And if they don't feel that way, that's part of the self-esteem. I raise them up. If they're so young, 10 and below, then I'm teaching them different things. You know what I'm saying? So it's all different. But I don't put my work onto anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a time where it's not like the father, though. I don't trust none of these niggas. Why would I send you to a den to get fucked up? What are they gonna learn? Scientology? This book the brother wrote the intro to this Elijah Muhammad book, and he's throwing darts at us like we didn't do our work or people ignored us. But the plan that he's sharing in the book that Elijah spoke about is about just getting land and collecting money. It's just black operatives, you know what I mean? And they ain't do that shit either. You know what I'm saying? So I found the intro completely hypocritical. Write about yourselves, you know? And I say this because it's video, so if NOY sees it, like, write about yourselves. Don't talk about the guy. You don't go to any of these streets, though. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time that the average, and I know because I'm in there, and NOI could make a song that doesn't sound like a damn after school special. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like an after school special. When kids in the street and they like this shit, they fuck with Raz, they fuck with Estinak, you know what I mean? They're not listening to after school specials on wax. So I find it really funny, you know what I'm saying? There is no place to be sending people, you know what I'm saying? You send somebody to a martial arts school, they'll learn how to maneuver and all that, but I don't know if they're gonna learn what I learned. I'm 5'4", and I'm in the 130 to 140 pound range though. And I can defend myself in any place I'm put. They're not gonna learn that there. They'll show you big dudes that they were probably gonna kick ass no matter what. You know what I mean? They don't know how to defend anything. They learn how to make moves and live the vibe, you know what I mean? And do the vibe of the lifestyle and look flowery and make it dope. If any of you seen the way I'm training, it should look nice maybe. That should not work. That's not the main goal. The main goal is like, yo, if I was in the middle of that shit, I might get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but we're responsible for all this, man. This ain't nobody's responsibility. You know what I mean? If you got somebody that's religious and he's already getting old and he keeps on with the mystery shit, but he just wants to be something regimented that's a little bit anti-white, you know, not with the white folk. I'm not gonna say anti-white, but not with the white folk. Yo, you sound like you NOI. Maybe you should go there. Cool. But I don't really direct nobody like that. I'll tell them what they are. You know what I'm saying? But I don't tell people where they go. It's probably hell is the only place I tell people where they can go. You know what I mean? If they're doing devilishment to me. You know what I mean? But the people that we care about, the babies, I'm not giving you any babies that's with me. If the baby's with me, nah. That ragtag kid, I'll go through hell with that ragtag kid. You know what I mean? Some of the guys that have grown up, though, I've taught them since a long time. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I'm 45. And some of these people I was teaching in my late 20s, like they're grown men now. You know what I mean? They might have been messing up and stuff like that. Where I said, listen, you need to go. I never sent them nowhere else. I prescribed the right lesson, and you either do it or you don't. If you don't do it, then you fail. But if you do it though, man, you're gonna be something that we never seen before. You, something we never seen before. You, true and living God, as you, something we never seen before. And to me, I don't know why everybody want to mess with all these other religions though. There's no chance of being you that somebody's never seen before, that could create a whole world. The only thing that goes with every single scientific reality that we've studied so far and continue to do so. Why would I send him something else though? This is it. You know what I'm saying? This is it, man. I think Asiatic God mathematics, you have I mean that's like your Bobby Digital alter ego, you know what I mean? You're the anagram, you know? Right? Bobby anagram. But if you take the S off the front with swine, put it on the end, you get wines. Swine is all bad, but wines can be bad at certain times. I mean, technically, you know what I mean? You can anagram sense it to anything, and that's the problem with it. Though. It's not etymologically sound, you know? You can anagram mostly anything, you know what I mean? All right, we only got a couple of minutes left. Now, I have a flyer. I got to put it out there. This is my email. So if you're new to this and you've been watching this, go to the email me. Let me get the 5% media link because Jason did give it to me. I did not have time. The flyer for the show and prove this year. It is going to be at a lot school in Mecca. So as soon as I have a chance to get it posted up, I'm going to post it up in the 5% media so everybody could see when the show and prove is. But we are having a show and prove this year. So it definitely happened. Yeah, you like that? Bobby Anagram? You know what I mean? That's dope, man. He's had God mathematics, though. It's like he'd be flipping it. It's Bobby Anagram. That's peace, God. Infinite mind, though. With that old Spanish shit. There you go. And we better start learning, though. You got to get into your histories. You think you know everything about the original man, though, and you just know African American history. It's poor. You know what I mean? Because then it would be the same about saying jazz becomes hip hop, okay? It'd be the same damn thing. You know what I mean? Roberto Digital. Man. That's right, God. You're welcome, Malik. Indeed, Infinite Mind. You know, it'd be great though, like actual commentaries on how each degree was translated. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to read that. You know, like kind of like we read Thomas Cleary's translations. It's got the footnotes and you know what I mean. That would really work. Nah, Bobby's a great. That's a honorable, righteous name. You know, I mean, excuse me, honorable. It's a good honorable name. You know what I'm saying? For, you know, a lot of good men I know named Bobby, including my Seagun, Bobby Whitaker. Right? He's a great man. Right? I know Infinite Mind knows that's our C gun. Man. You know, got love for that name, just for him. Yeah, indeed, indeed. You know, and Infinite Mind, it might need the footnotes anyway. You know what I mean? It might need the footnotes because the different dialects of Spanish might need people that study it in Spanish might need the explanations. You know what I mean? So that's a possibility too. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. So with that said, you know what I mean? We are at the end of this class session. Email me. Check the 5%. I'm definitely going to put this up, though. I'll probably be able to put it up tomorrow or tomorrow evening. If I play too much with my daughter, though, then I'll be putting it up Saturday. But I do have that flyer for it. And put the flyer for the show and prove. Hopefully, it is already circulating the social media, though. You know. Right. Yeah, definitely. Right. So you translate the math, the measurements too, right? Because they not that they're useless, but they're very difficult. Like if we had the 120 in the metric system, it'd be very difficult. It'd be a little frustrating to use and get a context. So that's even though that mathematically they lend themselves to different things. Translation, it's like a whole book in itself, God, because it has so much insights to add on. You know what I'm saying? And to share about the process that could really help other gods translating into different languages, expanding to the Asian languages, African languages, and everywhere else. So that's intriguing, is what it is. You know what I mean? But for the basic student right now, is making sure you get that knowledge of not just your own immediate history, this required African American history to understand these lessons, but also the history of other original people. You know what I mean? Right? Right. See, there's a jewel right there. I get that about the measurements. Right. Get it. Absolutely. Yeah, because then it would be literally changing the degree. You know what I mean? But for people that don't use it, the metric system might give them some balance to it, some insight. Right. Oh, you're wilding out, easy, God. All right, with that said, I'm going to let y'all go. Make sure you build. We're creators in our own creation. So create. And don't give up the youth, though. Don't give up on the youth. You know what I mean? All right? Peace.